Have you ever wondered what paradise truly looks like? Is it a garden of endless beauty, or is it a moment of quiet peace inside a heart that finally forgives? Is it somewhere far away, or is it right here between you and me, waiting to begin? Paradise begins with the choices we make today, every moment, every breath. And every decision we take is either leading us closer to peace or pulling us away from it. Paradise doesn't suddenly appear at the end of life. It is built piece by piece, choice by choice, in the quiet corners of our daily actions. It's not something we stumble upon. It's something we construct through how we think, speak, and respond when no one else is watching. Think about it. How many times have you stood at a crossroads, one path easy, the other demanding courage? Maybe it was the choice to stay silent when someone misunderstood you, or the choice to speak up when fear tried to hold your voice back. Every one of those moments was a brick in the structure of your inner paradise. Life doesn't hand us peace. It gives us the raw materials to build it. And what we choose to do with those materials shapes everything. There's a quiet but powerful truth hidden in ordinary decisions. When you wake up tired but still choose gratitude, you are shaping paradise. When you forgive someone who doesn't even realize they hurt you, you are shaping paradise. When you choose to smile instead of complain, to listen instead of argue, to build instead of break, each time you are constructing something eternal inside yourself. Paradise is not some faraway reward. It's the reflection of your daily discipline in moments that test your character. Think about the person who faces storms every day but still refuses to let bitterness take root. They're not living in ease, but they're living in peace. That's paradise at work. It's not about avoiding problems. It's about responding differently to them. Paradise begins when you stop waiting for better circumstances and start becoming a better version of yourself right where you are. You don't need a perfect life to experience paradise. You need the courage to make small, consistent choices that honor your peace. Take the simple example of traffic. Someone cuts you off and your instinct says react, shout, show them they can't treat you like that. But then something deeper whispers, let it go. That tiny decision, that quiet restraint is paradise being built in real time. You've chosen calm over chaos, and that's no small thing. We often underestimate the power of a single decision. One kind word can heal a heart. One act of patience can shift an entire relationship. One honest effort can rebuild trust that seemed lost forever. Paradise isn't hidden behind mountains or clouds. It's waiting in the decision to do right when wrong feels easier. Think about relationships. Sometimes the people closest to us can hurt us the most. It's easy to close off, to build walls, to say, I'm done trying. But when you choose to keep your heart open, not because they deserve it, but because peace deserves it, you've already stepped into paradise. You've proven that love is stronger than ego and peace louder than pride. Every choice today is planting the seeds of tomorrow's peace. The way you treat the stranger, the way you handle pressure, the way you carry yourself when life feels unfair, these are the brushstrokes that paint your paradise. Life isn't testing you to break you. It's teaching you to choose better, to see deeper, to live higher. Picture this: a man wakes up late for work, spills his coffee, and the whole day starts to crumble. He has two options. He can let frustration control him, snapping at everyone he meets, or he can laugh, reset, and move forward. One decision leads to chaos, the other to calm. The day doesn't change, but his experience of it does. Paradise isn't the absence of problems, it's the presence of peace despite them. The secret most people miss is that paradise is not built by grand gestures, it's built by quiet discipline. The decision to be kind when no one sees, the choice to stay humble when you could boast, the moment you apologize first when you could stay silent and prove your point. Those little choices create a life that feels light, free, and deeply alive. Sometimes paradise looks like a quiet evening after a hard day, when your mind is still and you feel thankful despite everything that went wrong. It's in the way you choose to carry your burdens with grace instead of resentment. Paradise begins when you stop saying, one day I'll be happy, and start saying, today I'll be peaceful. Think of the person who loses everything but still finds reasons to smile, who gets betrayed but still believes in goodness, who faces rejection but still chooses self-worth. That's what it means to live like paradise has already started, because it has. It starts the moment you decide to live with peace, not excuses. You hold the key every single day when you choose gratitude instead of greed, kindness instead of cruelty, progress instead of perfection. You build your paradise, and that paradise doesn't depend on wealth, fame, or approval. It depends on the strength of your daily decisions. People often chase happiness like it's hiding somewhere far away, but happiness was never missing. It's been waiting behind the next right choice, behind the next moment you decide to stay calm, to give, to grow, to let go. Paradise begins with the courage to choose peace again and again until it becomes your natural way of living. Every moment whispers, choose peace or pain, love or anger, calm or chaos. And in those quiet choices, paradise begins to rise inside you, built not by chance but by choice. Comparison kills the joy of our own paradise. It's one of those quiet thieves that sneaks into our hearts and steals peace before we even realize it's gone. It begins small, just a glance at someone else's life, their success, their happiness, their comfort. And suddenly, what once felt enough starts to feel small. Your room seems smaller after seeing someone's mansion. Your joy feels thinner after watching someone's laughter online. Your victory feels weaker when you notice someone else's bigger one. Comparison whispers that you're not doing enough, not having enough, not being enough. And if you listen long enough, it convinces you that paradise belongs to everyone but you. Imagine standing in a garden filled with flowers you've planted yourself. Each one took effort, patience, love, and care. But then you look over the fence and see your neighbor's garden blooming in brighter colors, taller stems and fuller petals. Instead of enjoying the fragrance of your own work, you start to wonder why theirs looks better. And in that moment, your garden loses its beauty, not because it changed, but because your focus did. That's exactly how comparison works. It doesn't destroy your blessings, it blinds you to them. We live in a world where it's easier than ever to compare. One scroll through a screen, and suddenly everyone seems happier, wealthier, more loved, more successful. But what you're seeing is a highlight, not the whole story. You see the smiles, but not the struggles, the wins, but not the wounds. Comparison is like watching the final chapter of someone's story and judging your first draft by it. There's a man who works tirelessly, giving his best every day, providing for his family with honesty and pride. Yet one evening he sees another man driving a car he cannot afford, wearing a watch that costs more than his monthly income, and suddenly his peace shatters. He forgets that his real wealth lies in the laughter of his children, in the respect he's earned, in the simple comfort of integrity. That's the danger of comparison. It blinds us to the paradise we already have. And then there's the young woman scrolling through her phone late at night, seeing perfect smiles, perfect vacations, perfect lives. She begins to wonder why hers doesn't look like that. What she doesn't see are the tears behind those smiles, the loneliness behind those photos, the exhaustion hidden behind that perfection. She doesn't realize that she's comparing her behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Comparison says, look at them. Peace says, look at you. One drains your soul, the other fills it. The real power begins the moment you stop measuring your worth by someone else's yardstick. Life isn't a race, it's a rhythm. Some dance fast, others move slow, but everyone has their own music. Think about the athlete who spends years training, running miles before sunrise, perfecting every move. Then one day, they lose a race by a fraction of a second. They could spend their energy comparing their loss to someone else's win, or they could realize that even showing up, even running, even improving is a victory. Paradise doesn't come to the one who always wins. It comes to the one who learns to celebrate progress, not just perfection. Comparison takes joy and turns it into jealousy. It turns gratitude into greed, contentment into complaint. But when you start to appreciate your journey, the messy, beautiful, unpredictable one, You begin to see paradise in places you never thought to look. There's something magnetic about confidence that comes from contentment. When you stop looking sideways and start looking forward, your energy shifts. You start celebrating others without feeling smaller yourself. Imagine saying, "I'm happy for them," and truly meaning it. That's strength. That's maturity. That's paradise blooming inside you. People forget that every life carries its own balance. The person you envy for their wealth might be praying for your peace. The person you admire for their confidence might be wishing they had your calm. The person whose marriage you think is perfect might be struggling to keep it together. No one's life is as flawless as it appears, and no one's paradise is without its price. Comparison also kills creativity. When you're too busy imitating others, you forget to innovate yourself. You start copying their path, their choices, their timing, thinking that's where success hides. But paradise isn't found in imitation, it's found in authenticity. Your journey has its own blueprint, your timing its own perfection. Think of a tree in a forest. One grows tall and straight, another bends with the wind, another spreads wide and low. Each is growing in its own way, in its own rhythm, under the same sky. The tree that tries to grow like another breaks. The one that stays rooted in its own shape thrives. You are that tree, beautiful in your difference, strong in your own growth. Comparison tricks you into thinking that happiness is limited, like there's only so much to go around. But peace isn't a slice of cake that disappears when someone else takes a bite. It's endless. Someone else's light doesn't dim yours. In fact, when we celebrate each other, the whole sky gets brighter. There will always be someone richer, smarter, more talented, more popular, but there will never be another you. Your voice, your experiences, your scars, your victories, they form a paradise no one else can create or understand. The moment you stop comparing, you start living, you start breathing deeper, walking lighter, and seeing the beauty that's always been within your reach. The joy you seek isn't missing, it's just hidden behind layers of comparison. Once you peel those layers away, you see that paradise was never out there. It was always right where you stood. Peace is not a place, it's a perspective. Most people spend their entire lives searching for a location where peace lives, as if it's hiding somewhere far away, on a beach, in a mountain cabin, in a perfect home, in a different job, or in the arms of someone new. But peace is not found in a destination. It's discovered in a decision. It's not something you travel to, it's something you grow into. You can change your surroundings 1,000 times, but if your mind is still in chaos, every new view will soon feel the same. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you told yourself, "When I get there, I'll finally be at peace. When I get that promotion, when I move to that city, when I buy that house, when I meet that person, when I finish that goal." And yet you reach the milestone and find that peace still feels just out of reach, because peace doesn't wait for the perfect timing, it waits for the right perspective. The external world can never calm what the internal world keeps stirring. There's a story written every day in real life. A woman sitting in traffic, her car stuck for an hour, the sun beating down, the noise all around. One driver next to her is furious, hitting the steering wheel, cursing every minute. Another driver in the same traffic rolls down the window, turns on music, and smiles at a child selling flowers by the road. Same situation, different experience. That's the power of perspective. Peace doesn't depend on the traffic, it depends on the traveler. You can live in a mansion and still feel empty. You can live in a small room and feel free. Because peace doesn't care about square footage, it cares about state of mind. One person lies awake at night counting worries, another lies in the same silence counting blessings. Both are under the same sky, but one has turned the night into a burden while the other has turned it into a gift. Think of the man who spends all day complaining about his workload, seeing only pressure, while another man with the same job sees purpose. One says, "I have to do this." The other says, "I get to do this." Same job, same hours, same pay, but completely different experiences. The difference isn't in their environment, it's in their lens. Peace is born when gratitude replaces grumbling. Sometimes we believe that peace will come once all the noise around us disappears, but peace isn't silence, it's strength. It's being able to stand in the middle of noise and still hear your own calm heartbeat. You can't always control your surroundings, but you can always choose your stance. Storms will come, people will disappoint, plans will break, but perspective decides whether you drown in chaos or dance in the rain. There's a woman who lost her job, her savings, her comfort. Everyone around her pitied her. They saw loss. She saw a lesson. While others mourned for her, she said, "Maybe life is redirecting me, not rejecting me." Months later, she started something new, something meaningful. Her peace was never tied to what she lost. It was anchored in what she believed could still be found. Peace isn't about what's happening. It's about how you interpret what's happening. Many people think peace will come when life finally stops being hard. But peace isn't the absence of trouble. It's the mastery of calm in the middle of it. It's being able to breathe deeply even when the world feels tight. It's looking at chaos and saying, "I will not let this define my spirit." Every person you admire who seems unshaken by life's storms has simply learned to adjust their perspective, not their surroundings. Think of two students waiting for exam results. Both studied hard. One spends the waiting days in panic, sleepless and tense. The other says, "Whatever comes, I'll learn from it." The paper hasn't been marked yet, but their peace levels are miles apart. Because peace is not about what happens next. It's about how you stand right now. Peace is a mindset that refuses to be controlled by moments. It's when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can this teach me?" When you do that, even pain becomes a teacher, even setbacks become seeds. Perspective transforms burdens into blessings. There's a story about a man who lost everything in a fire: his home, his belongings, his memories. As he stood in front of the ashes, a reporter asked, "How do you feel losing everything?" The man said softly, "I didn't lose everything. I still have my breath, and that means I can rebuild." That's peace. It's not denial, it's not blindness, it's balance. It's seeing the same scene as everyone else, but interpreting it differently. Look around in daily life. Peaceful people are not those who have fewer problems. They're the ones who see problems through a different lens. One person sees an obstacle, another sees an opportunity. One sees delay, another sees direction. One sees pain, another sees growth. That's why peace can't be given, it's created. It's a skill learned by those who stop reacting and start reflecting. Peace doesn't arrive wrapped in perfection. It comes disguised as perspective. It's in the mother who smiles through exhaustion because she knows her effort means love. It's in the young man walking home in the rain, but humming a tune because he's still thankful for the journey. It's in the worker who chooses to be kind even when the world is cruel. Peace belongs to those who choose to see life differently. The world will never stop being noisy, demanding, uncertain, or unfair. But peace begins when you stop trying to change the noise and start mastering your volume within it. Once your perspective changes, everything changes with it. The storm doesn't shrink, but you grow strong enough to stand through it. Peace is not found in the world outside you. It's built in the world within you. Letting go of ego opens the door to shared paradise. It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things to do because ego hides behind everything we think we are. It wears the mask of pride, the disguise of confidence, the illusion of strength. It whispers, "You don't need anyone. You're always right. Don't let them win." And every time we listen, we build another wall around our heart. Ego promises power, but what it really gives is isolation. It keeps us from peace, from love, from real connection. Paradise cannot live where ego rules because paradise is shared and ego knows only self. Think about the last time you argued with someone, not because they were completely wrong, but because you didn't want to be the one to back down first. That quiet battle inside your mind that said, "Why should I apologize?" Even when you knew peace mattered more than pride, that's ego at work. It feeds on the need to be right. Even if it costs you harmony, it turns small disagreements into full wars and makes winning feel more important than understanding. In daily life, ego shows up everywhere. It's in the coworker who can't admit a mistake even when everyone knows it. It's in the partner who keeps score in love, refusing to say sorry first. It's in the friend who distances themselves rather than being vulnerable. Ego turns relationships into competitions, conversations into debates, and love into a battlefield. But the moment you decide to drop it, something beautiful happens. The air clears, the tension fades, and connection begins again. There was once a young man who worked hard, built his career, and gained respect. People admired him, but he never listened to anyone. One day he made a decision that cost his company dearly, yet he blamed others to protect his image. Over time, the very people who admired him stopped trusting him. He gained everything but lost everyone. Only when he humbled himself, admitted his faults, and sought forgiveness did he realize that true strength was never about being above others. It was about standing beside them. Ego convinces us that humility is weakness, but humility is power under control. It takes more strength to say, "I was wrong," than to argue endlessly trying to be right. It takes more courage to let someone else shine than to steal the spotlight. It takes a bigger heart to forgive than to fight. Letting go of ego doesn't make you small, it makes you free. Think of two people standing on opposite sides of a bridge, both waiting for the other to take the first step. The bridge represents peace, but ego keeps their feet frozen. One is thinking, "Why should I move first?" The other says, "They should come to me." And so the bridge stays empty. Paradise isn't far, it's right there, just a step away. But ego locks the gate. Only humility has the key. In every home, in every friendship, in every workplace, ego builds invisible walls. It separates hearts that were meant to grow together. It makes us defend our image more fiercely than our integrity. It keeps us busy proving instead of improving. But when you let go, when you stop needing to win every time, you start to feel a peace that ego could never give, because peace doesn't come from power, it comes from understanding. There's a story about a woman who held a grudge for years against her sister. She believed she was the one who had been wronged, and she told herself she'd never speak to her again. But deep down, she missed her. One day, she saw her sister struggling, and something inside her broke. She reached out, not to prove a point, not to get an apology, but simply to love again. And in that moment, the weight lifted. That's what happens when you let go of ego. It feels like setting down a heavy bag you've carried too long. Ego thrives on comparison. It says, "You're better than them," or "You deserve more." But the truth is, everyone is fighting battles we can't see. When you start seeing others not as competitors, but as companions in this journey, paradise starts to unfold between you. Ego separates, empathy connects. And every connection you build without ego becomes a step closer to shared paradise. In the real world, letting go of ego doesn't mean letting people walk over you. It means knowing your worth so deeply that you don't need to prove it. It means you can be kind without being weak, gentle without being ignored, confident without being arrogant. Ego shouts, "Look at me," while peace whispers, "I know who I am." A person ruled by ego sees every challenge as a threat, but a humble person sees it as a lesson. Ego says, "They're trying to bring me down." Humility says, "Maybe they're showing me something I need to see." This shift in thinking is what opens the door to paradise, because paradise isn't built with pride, it's built with perspective. Think about two people at work, one who always wants credit and one who's happy to let others shine. Over time, who do people gravitate toward? Not the one demanding recognition, but the one who lifts others up, because peace attracts, ego repels. There's a quiet kind of confidence that comes from releasing ego, the kind that doesn't need applause to feel worthy. You begin to move differently, speak differently, listen differently. You stop reacting to everything and start responding with grace. Ego lives in reaction, peace lives in reflection. Letting go of ego doesn't just change your relationships, it changes your world. Suddenly, you notice how much lighter life feels when you stop defending your pride, You realize that most battles weren't worth fighting, most arguments weren't worth winning, and most apologies were worth giving sooner. Ego may win the moment, but humility wins the soul. The truth is, paradise is never one-sided. It's shared, and only those who can bow without breaking, who can love without conditions, and who can live without the need to be right will find its doors open. Because the moment ego steps aside, peace walks in quietly, and paradise finally has space to breathe between us. When love leads, paradise follows. Everything in life changes when love becomes the reason behind what we do, what we say, and how we treat one another. Love is not just a feeling, it is a direction. It points us toward peace when the world is pulling us toward pride. It reminds us that kindness is stronger than control, that compassion can accomplish what force never will. When love takes the lead, arguments soften, wounds begin to heal, and walls start to crumble. Love is the bridge that carries us over every difference, every doubt, every fear. Imagine two people in a storm, both holding onto their own umbrellas, refusing to move closer. The rain keeps falling harder and both are getting wet. Then one person takes a step, opens their umbrella wider, and says, "Come stand with me." That's what love does. It makes room. It doesn't wait for the other person to deserve shelter. It offers it anyway. Because when love leads, paradise follows, not because the storm disappears, but because the hearts in it find warmth together. Love isn't about perfection, it's about direction. It's choosing patience when anger feels easier, choosing forgiveness when revenge feels right, choosing understanding when judgment feels justified. Love doesn't always win the argument, but it always wins the soul. When you let love lead, you stop asking, "How can I get more?" and start asking, "How can I give more?" That one shift turns ordinary moments into sacred ones. There's a man who wakes up early every morning to prepare breakfast for his family before going to work. No one sees the tiredness in his eyes. No one praises the effort he gives quietly. But he does it anyway, not for recognition, not for reward, but out of love. That simple act is paradise in motion. Love transforms responsibility into joy, duty into devotion, and routine into meaning. Think about how many relationships break, not because love wasn't there, but because ego led the way. When love leads, words become softer, tone becomes gentler, and hearts stay open. But when ego takes over, even the strongest bond begins to weaken. Love says, "Let's find peace." Ego says, "Let's prove a point." And every time you choose peace over proof, you move one step closer to paradise. There was a young woman who had every reason to be bitter. She was betrayed by people she trusted most. Yet, instead of closing her heart, she said, "I will not let their choices change who I am." She kept showing kindness, kept doing good, not for them but for herself. Because she understood that when you stop loving, you stop living. She became a living example that love is not weakness. It's wisdom. To keep loving in a world that has forgotten how to is the greatest strength of all. Love leads not by demanding, but by demonstrating. It teaches through action, not instruction. When a parent sacrifices sleep for a child, when a friend listens without judging, when a stranger helps without expecting anything back, that's love leading quietly. Paradise isn't a reward waiting at the end. It's what starts to grow in the space between hearts that choose love over indifference. Love doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes it's found in silence, in staying calm when someone else loses theirs, in holding your tongue when your words could wound, in walking away from drama instead of adding to it. Love doesn't always shout. Sometimes it simply refuses to hate. That's where real strength lies. There's a story about a man who found himself in a heated argument with his neighbor over something small, a broken fence, a misunderstanding. Both refused to back down. Days turned to weeks and bitterness grew. One day, the man decided to fix the fence himself without saying a word. When his neighbor saw it, he came over in silence and helped. No one said sorry. No one asked for forgiveness. But love had quietly led them both back to peace. That fence became their bridge. That's how love works. It repairs what pride destroys. Love is not a feeling you wait to feel. It's a choice you make again and again. It's showing up when it's inconvenient, giving when it's undeserved, and caring when it's uncomfortable. Every act of love, no matter how small, becomes a brick in the foundation of paradise. Look at a mother holding her child after a long, exhausting day. Her body is tired, but her eyes are soft. That's love leading. Look at the teacher who stays after class to help a struggling student, or the person who forgives silently without needing an apology. That's love leading. And wherever love leads, peace follows, joy follows, healing follows. Paradise is not somewhere we go. It's something we create when love takes charge. Love can turn enemies into friends, strangers into family, and broken hearts into open ones. It can make a poor man feel rich, a lonely person feel seen, a hopeless soul feel alive again. Love doesn't always fix the situation, but it always transforms the heart that chooses it. When love leads, patience grows. When love leads, understanding deepens. When love leads, the walls of separation fall. When love leads, even silence feels safe. The world may offer chaos, competition, and conflict, but love still stands as the quiet voice saying, choose peace, choose kindness, choose connection. Love doesn't need permission to begin. It only needs one heart brave enough to lead the way. Every time you choose love instead of hate, compassion instead of judgment, giving instead of grasping, you plant a seed of paradise in someone's life and maybe even in your own. When love leads, paradise follows, because love is the only language that every soul can understand without translation. Life at its very core is a conversation between the choices we make and the peace we seek. Every sunrise gives us another chance to decide who we will be, builders of bridges or keepers of walls, givers of love or guardians of pride. We chase so many things in life: success, validation, recognition. But at the end of the day, all we truly long for is peace. That peace doesn't arrive wrapped in wealth or fame. It arrives in quiet hearts that have learned to love, to forgive, to let go, and to see the beauty in each moment. Paradise was never a place waiting for us. It was a way of living waiting within us. We spend years trying to be seen, trying to be right, trying to be first, but the most beautiful lives are not those lived in the spotlight. They're the ones that light up others. The world remembers not the ones who shouted the loudest, but the ones who healed the deepest. It's easy to impress the crowd, but it takes strength to touch a soul. Every word of kindness, every moment of patience, every act of compassion becomes a spark that turns an ordinary day into something eternal. There comes a time when you realize that peace isn't built on applause, but on alignment. When what you do, what you say, and what you believe finally move in the same direction, something powerful awakens inside you. That's when life stops being about survival and starts becoming about significance. The people who leave the biggest mark on the world aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who kept their hearts soft in a world that tried to harden it. Remember this: strength is not in standing taller than others, but in standing firm in love when the world tries to pull you down. It's not in winning arguments, but in walking away from them with your peace intact. It's not in proving your worth, but in knowing it without question. Peace doesn't come when everything around you calms down. It comes when everything inside you rises above, when love leads, when humility speaks, when patience listens. Paradise unfolds one breath at a time. Every challenge you face is not there to break you, but to build you. Pain is not punishment, it's preparation. Sometimes life closes one door because the room you were standing in was too small for the size of your calling. When you stop asking, why me, and start saying, try me, that's when your spirit begins to grow wings. Storms don't drown those who learn to surf the waves. They shape them into warriors of peace. Life is not asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be present, to show up every day with courage, with compassion, with an open heart. Don't let comparison steal your joy or ego block your growth. Don't wait for the right time. Create the right time. Don't chase paradise somewhere else. Build it where you stand. Peace begins the moment you decide that no one and nothing has the power to disturb the calm you are building inside yourself. So, take a deep breath and remind yourself, you've made it through every hard day you thought would break you. You've risen every time life pushed you down. You've carried pain that once felt unbearable and turned it into wisdom. You are living proof that strength doesn't roar. Sometimes it whispers, "I will try again tomorrow." And if there's one thing to remember as you walk forward, let it be this: paradise is not a faraway dream waiting for perfect people. It's the life that blooms when imperfect hearts choose to love anyway. When you replace envy with gratitude, pride with humility, and fear with faith in goodness, you start to live in a paradise of your own making. The world will try to tell you that happiness is somewhere else, that peace is for another time, that paradise is after the climb. But the truth is, it's right here, in this breath, in this choice, in this moment. So live fully, forgive quickly, love deeply, and let go gracefully. Don't wait for the world to give you peace. Give peace to the world through who you are. Because when you carry love in your heart and light in your spirit, paradise will always walk beside you.